Alrighty boys, welcome back once again to another video. How you guys doing? Guys, today, Solstice of Heroes is finally upon us, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing a bit of a guide on how to get your foot in the door within this summer event for Destiny 2. Now, with Solstice, Bungie brings a multitude of things. Number one, they bring a zone which is exclusive to this event known as the European Aerial Zone. Alongside this, Bungie brings in 3 armor sets, 3 for every single class in the game, known as the Renewed set, the Majestic set, and the Magnificent set. Alongside this, Bungie brings a huge amount of Solstice themed cosmetics, which can be found in the Eververse for Silver or for Bright Dust. If you're curious on how to farm Bright Dust, I may have the video for you linked in the description. In today's video, like I said, it's going to be a bit of a beginner guide. I'm going to be focusing on the European Aerial Zone and many of my tips and tricks regarding it and how to do it properly, as well as how to go from the Renewed set and upgrade your way to the Majestic set. Of course, as you guys know, you're gonna have to upgrade these armor sets to get this armor set, which is basically the end goal, which is of course the fully upgraded Magnificent set, which looks pretty baller, and pretty much all of us are trying to get it. It's kind of the whole purpose of the event. So how exactly do we start off and get our renewed armor set? First thing you want to do is boot up Destiny 2 and go to the tower. Once you go to the tower, you will find Ava Levante front and center, and talking to her will give you your Solstice helmet as well as the Trial in the Clouds quest step. What this quest step is going to ask you to do is to basically go to the EAZ and then complete your first match of it. To do this, you can find this on your map in the tower, or you can walk to the right of Ava Levante and you can access the EAZ from there. You cannot access the EAZ from the Earth area on your map, like I've seen a lot of other players try to do. Now, once you are in the European Aerial Zone and once you do complete this, you will then be given the rest of your armor set. But let me go ahead and give you a bit of tips and tricks for the EAZ, as you're going to be finding yourself here quite often. This is exactly what the European Aerial Zone is. You load in and then you have a 5-minute timer. This 5-minute timer is basically timing you on how many mini-bosses you can kill across the entirety of the European Aerial Zone. After you kill all of these mini-bosses, you will then face a boss fight with either one central boss, 2 or 3, and then after killing those bosses, you will then go on a treasure hunt across the EAZ, opening as many chests as you killed mini-bosses in the first encounter. For example, if you killed 14 mini-bosses before the 5-minute counter is up, then you will be able to loot at least 14 chests across the European Aerial Zone before being done with your mission. Now, with the European Aerial Zone, here are a bit of tips and tricks on how to get this done effectively. Number 1, use shotguns and use swords. If you're going to be killing these mini-bosses, you want to make sure that you have a burst DPS weapon to do it as fast as possible. Shotguns and swords are going to be perfect for it. Number 2, stay away from your teammates. If you see that your teammate is already on a mini-boss, let him do his thing and go searching for another one. The easiest way to find mini-bosses is to make sure that you're looking in the top left at your map, and there will be an arrow that points in the direction of a boss before it even appears on your screen. You can even pull out your ghost and it'll show you where another mini-boss is. From what I've seen, the most that can spawn at one time are 2 to 3, so if you do see a teammate that's already on a boss, let him go ahead and kill it and let yourself be available to then go to the next mini-boss. Another tip that I have is to use your Sparrow and use the buildings around you. A great way to get around the European Aerial Zone is by using height to your advantage and jumping building to building, as well as using your Sparrow to go in between a lot of the areas down below. After you kill as many mini-bosses as possible within this time frame, of course you will be faced with the boss fight, and then after the boss fight, which by the way they're kind of beefy so you might want to bring out the big guns, then you will be faced with a treasure hunt. Now, like I said, let's say that you killed 14 mini-bosses in the first encounter. You are then going to have a chance of getting 14 chests, but of course you will be on a time limit. What the game is going to do is it's going to show you the location of every single chest on the map, but only for a few seconds. What I suggest is looking in one direction specifically while your other teammates look in the other directions, so that you can get as many chests on your screen as possible and just focus on that one area and let your teammates focus on their areas. Using this method, 9 times out of 10 I've got gotten every single one of the chests looted, and do keep in mind that when you are near a chest, it will pop up on your screen and show you the location of it, but you will have to be within a certain area. So just kind of get a general idea of where the chests are whenever the game shows you. Go in that general area and you're more than likely going to be finding every single one of them. Of course, after you get done with this, you can then head on over to Ava Levante, to which she will give you another quest where you have to meditate at the statue. Once meditating at the statue, you will then get the rest of your renewed set. Now, once you have this renewed set, you are going to see a multitude of objectives for you to complete, and to complete these objectives, not only do you have to, well, actually do them, but you have to make sure that your armor is equipped. So make sure that you equip the full set, and let's go ahead and get started. First off, we have the Solstice helmet, which is going to have the EAZ runs, precision final blows, and blank defeated. This could be like Hive, Cabal, or anything in between. Don't even worry about going for this. This is something that you will get done on your own. Don't even try to get this done. You're going to get your precision kills. You're going to be able to defeat whatever enemies you need to. There's no reason in going out of your way and focusing exclusively on this, because it'll practically complete itself over time. Moving on from this, we have the combatants, the super kills, and the kills on EAZ as a certain subclass. The combatants basically just means killing certain enemies within the European aerial zone. The super kills are pretty self-explanatory, just get super kills. And the last one is kills on the EAZ with a specific subclass. Just make sure that you look at the specific icon, as it can be different depending on what class you are, and just use that subclass and get kills. It's pretty simple. Then moving on to the chest plate. We have adventures, we have elemental orbs and strikes, and then we have opposing guardians defeated. Now for the adventures portion, you will be able to find the fastest adventures on Mars. Do keep in mind that once you do complete an adventure, that adventure will disappear, so do as many as you can on Mars and then just go like to the EDZ and do one there. Adventures in general are pretty short and you don't really have to min-max this, so just do any adventures you find, make sure you do 5 of them, and you'll be good to go. The next one is talking about strikes, and it shows solar orbs. Again, this can be different depending on your class. Basically what this means is get kills with a certain elemental weapon or with a certain element in general, whether that be with your super, with your melee, with your grenade, or just whatever elemental weapon you have. You'll notice that during Solstice, using specific elements will cause elemental orbs to fall on the ground, whether those be solar, arc, or void. Just make sure that you're picking these up and you'll get this done no problem. And the last one, opposing guardians defeated, just hop into Crucible. Actually this week there's momentum control, which basically reduces or at least halves the health of pretty much every guardian in the game and makes it pretty easy to rack up kills. So I would suggest going into momentum control and just waxing the floor with people. Doesn't really matter what gun you use, you can easily get kills and just get 25 of them and then back out. Do keep in mind that they do not need to be final blows. They could easily just be assists. It does not have to be a final blow. It can simply just be a defeat. Moving on from this, we have the Solstice Greaves. You have to do 5 public events, you have to get Gambit and Crucible orbs, which this one specifically is Void, and then you'll have to open Solstice packages. For public events, all I really did is just went to the EDZ, looked around on my map, and went to the ones that were active. I don't really think there's a super fast way to do this. If there is, then that's great, but for me, all I really did is just did public events. It's pretty simple. In some cases, making the public event heroic will make it last longer. In some cases, it can make it a bit quicker, so depending on the public event that you're running, just make sure that you do either or, depending on which one can be faster. Moving on from that, we have the Gambit and the Crucible orbs. Do this in Gambit. I know that not many people like Gambit, but do this in Gambit. You cannot do this in Gambit Prime, as that is considered a competitive game mode. So just go to the regular Gambit playlist, and what me and my squad did is that we just completely ignored the objective. Instead of banking our moats and fighting the other team, we literally just held onto our moats for as long as possible and just kept farming enemies inside of Gambit just to get the elemental orbs that we needed. It was pretty simple, you know, that's pretty much all I did. If you're a solo player, then maybe don't sabotage your team so that you can get this done. But if you do have a group of people to play with, just ignore the objective and farm up enemies, and it's a pretty simple way to get it. Lastly, we have Solstice packages. While running running through the EAZ, or pretty much a lot of the activities within Solstice of Heroes, you will notice that you're going to be getting Solstice packages as well as key fragments. You can go to your inventory and you can open a Solstice package with 15 key fragments, and keep in mind that the loot that you're going to be getting from these in the beginning are going to be pretty bad. However, the more armor that you unlock, aka the more that you upgrade it, the better stuff that you're going to be finding in these packages. So at the beginning of the event, for the most part, you're just going to be getting blue items, but as you're upgrading your armor, you're going to be getting some really good armor pieces from these packages. So just do the bare minimum, open only 10, and save as many packages and save as many keys as possible, because as you progress throughout this event, the loot is going to be getting really good, and you want to make sure that you're holding on to it. Lastly, we have the mark, or the just regular class item. We have playlist strikes, we have elemental orbs, and we have crucible or gambit matches. The playlist strikes, make sure you are going to the Vanguard playlist. Do not load into a specific strike, make sure it is the playlist specifically. For the elemental orbs, this is going to be something that you're probably going to be done with by now. Just by doing all your other objectives, it does not matter what orb it is all of the elements. So no matter what your subclass, no matter what your weapon, it doesn't matter. You know, you're eventually going to get this really easily. And then the Crucible and Gambit matches, go back to Momentum Control if you need to, because those matches end really quickly, and all my homies hate Gambit. Nobody wants to play Gambit. Once you get the armor set fully maxed out and you get all of these objectives done, you can then go back to Ava Levante and you can get your legendary set, which is going to be known as the Majestic set. For those of you guys that are curious, I will show you all the objectives for the Majestic set. I'm probably not going to be making a video on this because honestly, if you've come to this point, it's pretty self-explanatory. I wanted to make this video though for a lot of my newer players out there that maybe need a bit of a help and a little bit of a push in the right direction, but once you're at this point, everything is pretty self-explanatory and it gets a bit grindy. What I suggest is just put this armor on and just casually play the game, do what you normally would, and eventually for the most part you will get this done. From what I've seen, the most annoying part for this armor is getting 100 crucible kills with a specific element. That looks like it would be pretty annoying, but aside from that, everything else is just stuff that you'll passively get over time. And then once you get this armor done, you will then be met with the final list of objectives, which will then lead you to the glowy white armor. Of course, once you do get this armor, once you start opening those Solstice packages, you're going to be getting some pretty good loot from it. Do keep in mind though, that once you do get your legendary armor, once you go from renewed and then you go all the way to majestic, you'll actually be able to purchase the ornaments from the shop with bright dust or silver. So if you want to stop here and you don't care for the glowy white armor, then you're more than welcome to do so, and you can just do that if you'd like. However, there is still a reason to play, as the armor that you can get dropped has some really good stats on it the further you get into the event, so I do highly suggest that you keep on grinding this armor out. However, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I'm probably not going to be making another video on Solstice, as I said, as it's pretty self-explanatory, so I think for the rest of this week, I'm going to be focusing on a few different weapon guides, as well as some news videos for you guys. But of course, if you guys have any questions, leave them down below, or you can find me on twitch.tv, as I stream Destiny quite often. Thank you guys so much for watching, I really do appreciate it. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you did like it, dislike if you did not, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time.